Welcome. In today's lesson, I wanted to talk a little bit about refinement, really getting your ads crisp and completely dialed in for the most effective ads you could run. And this would apply to actually writing the ad copy. You know, this might not necessarily be something that you would need to do for your ads, but this is something that is just another technique that you might want to consider. Certainly, if you're running a large-scale advertisement or you're an ad agency, this is a very helpful tool. It's just another one of those things that will help you in creating more effective ads and more profitable ads. And it's a pretty simple concept. Really, all it is when you create the ad, using your swipe file or any of these other tools that we've kind of laid out, print out an actual copy. This could be Facebook ads, Google ads, print ads, whatever sort of advertising that you do, but actually print out a physical copy on like an 8.5, 11 piece of paper. Really, really simple. You want it to actually be a physical item. Something about, just having it on your phone or having it on, a digital copy on your computer. There's, not so much value in that, like having an actual physical thing that's based in reality. At least for me, this is just my sort of technique. It adds value to it, and it forces you to engage a bit more with the actual ad. So print out the advertisement, whatever text that you're using. You don't need to print out the image along with the ad, just the simple text. Take the 8.5, 11 piece of paper, fold it up so it's something like that. And then what I do is I just attach a pen to it, right? So I just have this ad, and then I keep it with me wherever I'm going. And this is you don't have to take it out, you don't have to read it, you don't have to really put too much work into it. You're just having it with you, and that forces you to kind of think about the ad a little bit more, right? So if you're going somewhere, well, what's this in my pocket? Oh, it's the ad, right? Whatever it might be. You might be somewhere and see an ad from another company and say, oh, well, that's really good. Okay, hang on, I'm gonna write this down. This is So that's a good thing to include with the ad. I'm just going to include that on the side, just a little quick note. Maybe on the back of the page, I'll write something out. Or you'll just, you'll open it up, maybe give it a quick read, in the morning, fold it up, go to your work or whatever. And just the way the brain works is, things come out to you. You'll think about things, right? You'll open this up. Maybe you'll add a little note to one of the words. Consider using this word instead. Consider this, or cross something out and replace it with another word. Do little arrows. Move this here. Or just cross out entire sentences, or write entire sentences onto the ad. Obviously, you're not always going to have a ton of time for these sorts of ads, but sometimes you will, and so it's good to do this process, because you can imagine the benefits. I mean, if you did this, if you have a lot of time, let's say you're not running a campaign for a couple of weeks or a month or whatever it is, just imagine if you did this for 2 weeks and you had this on you, and every day you just had maybe one or two ideas that you could add to that ad copy. Okay, that's a huge difference. If you're going to be spending thousands of dollars on an ad, and this helps increase your conversion rates by 5%, 10%. Which it would. I mean, it's a great tool and method to use. And with this, you can also create variations of the ad. So let's just say you leave a bunch of notes on here, and one version is this way, one version is that way. A/B test it, right? You're now really kind of refining multiple versions of the ad, or you might have ideas for a completely new, different type of ad. Write that down as well. Do that for a week. If you run out of paper, put it all on your computer, print out another version of this, and continue the process, right? It's a continued refinement. Little things, make a big difference. A single word can dramatically change a campaign. A story I've told before is, I was consulting for an ad agency that was the biggest buyer of Yahoo advertising at the time. They had an ad that said, they do like these tax or car insurance ads. And the ad said, the president is changing laws that will affect your car insurance, right? And the only advice I gave, I gave other advice, but the advice I gave that was really beneficial was I said, change president to Obama, because the word Obama, this is a long time ago, obviously, the word Obama has an emotional effect on people. Whether you love him or hate him, that brings out some sort of emotion in you, and you're going to be more responsive to that advertisement. and when compared to president, right? Like president can apply to all sorts of things that doesn't really grab your attention. And the results were dramatic. I forget the actual increasement in conversion rates, but I think it was something like maybe 10 to 20% increasement in actual traffic to the site and conversion rates. Okay, if you're the number one ad agency buying Yahoo advertising and you're spending $100,000 a week, that's dramatic. That's huge, right? That's not just the customers that you're getting to, but that's possibly the customers that are referring, that they'll refer to you in the future, right? But it's also customers that are going to would have potentially gone to your competitors. Okay, so it's really a beneficial thing to get those huge, inches. It's small inches, but it's huge for your business. So this kind of a process is very beneficial. And the other part of this is I would really recommend is if you have someone on your team read it aloud to you, and then have like a notepad or have some sort of notes that you can just make little notes about if they have a word that they're having issues with, if they stutter over something, right? If they have to repeat something, if they're confused about something, and just have them read the ad, and then have them tell you what they think. Okay. Ideally, it would be a person that is similar to the consumer base, but really you're just trying to hear the words aloud. Don't read it yourself out loud, because you have kind of a bias going into this, right? Like you wrote this, you might think that the wording's good. You know how it sounds. You've repeated it in your head a million times. You want a stranger to read your ad and out loud and tell you what they think, and take notes of maybe there's a word that they're not really familiar with, or maybe they have to repeat a sentence. If they're repeating a sentence, maybe consider changing that sentence. And if you need to test this a few times, test it with a few different people. If you test it with 3 different people, they all read it aloud, and they all have to repeat the same sentence, or they all stumble over the certain word, change that word. I mean, that's pretty clear that you should consider making some changes there. So yeah, that's really the sort of process. If time allows, it's great. I mean, if you have a few weeks where you can actually have this on you, again, you don't have to take it out and read it all the time. It's more of just the having it with you, having it as a physical item that has value, right? And as ideas come up, adding those ideas and making those changes to that content within the physical copy. So, it's been really beneficial for me, and I would definitely recommend it for any sort of advertising that you're doing. Again, if time allows it, let's say you have a small budget too. Let's say you're a small business, and you don't need to launch an ad right away, but when you launch the ads, you need them to be as cost effective as possible, because every dollar really counts, right? Don't launch your ads for a month. Do this for a month. If you get 2 ideas a day, that's 60 ideas that you just applied to a single ad that could potentially benefit your advertisement, right? This is you just increased your profit margins by it could be hundreds of percent. It could be multiple times over. It could be only 10% or 20%. It's all absolutely worth it, rather than going in and running a campaign that might deliver somewhat lackluster results, right? So actually print out a physical copy of the ad, hold it up, throw a little pin on there, right? Keep it with you. When ideas come up, actually write them out, and have someone read it aloud. Have multiple people read it aloud, ideally. And one last note. Again, this gets a little deep. You don't necessarily have to do this, but read your ad aloud right before you go to sleep. Something about that where it's just kind of like you're you don't have to really think about it. You don't really have to kind of stress about any of it. Just read the ad aloud. So that way it's just kind of in your mind. You go to sleep, and kind of a subconscious thing, the next morning, see the ideas that pop out really easily to you. It's a technique used a lot, not just in marketing, but self-help and a few other channels. Sounds a little woo-woo, I know. Try it. If it doesn't work, don't have to repeat it. It's just the main thing is getting a physical copy, keeping it with you, making notes, having one person or multiple people read aloud the ad to you, and just be conscious of the ad and how you can improve upon it. Do that for a few weeks if time allows, and you'll get much better results. And so that's what I got on how to refine your ads, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.